All right. Yeah. Okay. I think I got this. All right. Yeah. Okay. I got this. I got this. First stream, everybody. Yeah. Hold on. First stream, everybody. Come on, everybody. Let's get a W in the chat. W in the chat for the first stream. You know, it took me a while to set this up, but all right. Listen. This is gonna be the plan, and this is how I'm thinking. Okay, so I'm thinking that I'm going to stream on Sundays, and then when I stream on Sundays, I'm going to edit. I'm gonna cover like 5, 6 stories, maybe 7, right? And then I'm gonna edit them into videos for the Banksville News channel. That way I can stay consistent because I think one of my largest issues right now is like I keep on trying to go too much into my editing bag and everything. So we're gonna do it this way instead. So if you don't wanna, you know what I'm saying, it's good that you guys are in the chat right here because I can actually interact with you guys. I'm reading the comments. Yeah, Steve. Okay, yeah. See, I'm seeing everybody in the chat. Thank you. All right. So we're gonna cover up a couple of topics. We can start off with the first topic. Let me get my headphones actually. Quick. All right, so we're gonna cover the first topic, which is Mamdani and free buses in New York City. Now, I was extremely hype when I heard that he was trying to make buses in New York City free, because I think transportation in New York is pretty. I mean, it's good, right? It's probably like one of like definitely is the best in the country, but it could be a lot better. And the fact that our public transportation and our prices for our ticket prices keep on going up higher and higher, like the fare prices keep on going higher and higher, but the service is sort of still lacking, especially when it comes to buses, because congestion is still a problem. Congestion pricing has solved congestion a little bit, but it has only really solved congestion, has only really solved the MTA's financial woes more than actual congestion. Like when I walk around downtown, like there's still a lot of traffic. I haven't really seen a massive difference. Maybe when they first implemented it, back in like, what was that, like January or something like that, it was a massive difference. But now I'm not really seeing much of a difference in it. But it is good because financially it's supporting New York. New York is able to pay back some of their bonds, so that's pretty decent. The fact that it's only for Lower Manhattan is enough for any kid. Right, yeah. I think that's a lot of the issue is because it's only in Lower Manhattan, it's still, like, people are still, like, outside of Lower Manhattan. So let's say if you go above 60th Street, you still have problems when it comes to congestion because there still is that, like, especially when it comes to people who are trying to turn off into Queens or something like that, to try to avoid that congestion pricing toll, there's still a lot of congestion there. And I haven't really seen congestion pricing really fix any of that issue. So buses, especially in the outer boroughs, are really, really slow. And so why would we force people to pay for public transportation that's extremely slow? Like, we're paying for buses that you can walk faster. You know what I'm saying? And that is sort of ableist, right? Because like if you can walk faster than the bus, then you can. But at the same time, right? It's still like, why are we paying for that? Like, buses should be able to move at least faster than somebody walking, right? So let's check in and see exactly what Mamdani is trying to plan, because I think his plans are pretty interesting. Let's remember that he is a mayoral candidate, so even if he wins, he has control over the actual property taxes and stuff like that. Like, or not property. Well, he has control over income taxes and stuff like that, but doesn't really have much control over the MTA at all. So we'll see kind of how that goes. New York City is the tired, so you can see a lot of traffic. Exactly. And I think that's the same thing, Patterson. Exactly what you said, because the outer boroughs don't have enough rapid transit, so that ends up becoming a real issue. You have to take a bus, sometimes 2 buses, to get to a subway, and those buses get stuck in traffic a lot because bus lanes in New York City are used as parking lanes. Like, people will double park and they'll just park in a bus lane, and then they'll just eat the ticket or just not get ticketed at all. So that's really the main issue. Right, exactly. And the thing is, Martin, exactly what you said, like free transit. When I was a kid, in high school and in middle school, we would get free Metro cards, and it's the same type of thing. You still get free Metro cards in New York, but you only have 3 rides, which it's just enough to get you to school and then get you to like maybe an extracurricular activity and then get you home from that extracurricular activity. But the free Metro cards don't work on the weekends. So if you have to do anything on the weekends, you don't have any means of public transportation. So you're literally forcing kids to have to pay for public transportation on the weekends. And so like now you can't see friends, you can't do any of that type of stuff. And then the MTA wonders why people are fare evading. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know, it's kind of goofy to me, but let's get into this.
Long before he was running for mayor, Zohran Mamdani would run for the BX10 bus.
I used to ride it to get to high school. Coming off the 1 train at 231st Street, seeing the bus about 2 stops away and knowing that if I ran fast enough, I could still catch up to it.
Because it was slow.
Because it was so slow, which is good for me, bad for the city.
Mamdani says as mayor, he'd make buses free. Riders could skip the lines, use all the doors to board quickly, and finally get moving.
Without hyperbole, the slowest buses in the country, 8 miles an hour. We could have this interview walking alongside it and still get there before the bus.
You might be able to outrun the bus. I don't know if I could outrun the bus.
Poor people don't make a lot of money, and then you taking out what, $290?
$290 for a bus is crazy.
Some think it's.
And that's the thing. I actually think that 290 is. I mean, a lot of people say that 290 isn't that, wild. When I first complained about the fact that the bus prices went from 275 to 290, there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh, well, it's $15 here or whatever." I mean, but like, why does that justify why we should all start paying more, or like not even like we should force low income residents to start paying more just because low income residents are being scalped for their actual money in another place doesn't mean that it should happen in another. Like, it doesn't. I don't feel like that's a good argument. I think that we should make it so that low income residents still like can actually afford public transportation everywhere. Just because they can't afford it in one place doesn't mean that it makes it acceptable for low income residents in another place to not be able to afford it. You know what I'm saying? So I think people need to start thinking about it that way. I'm gonna get into it a little bit more as this video goes on, but yeah. Let's see.
It's crazy for the city to pick up the fare, a cost Mamdani estimates between $600 and $800 million. Currently, more than 4 in 10 bus riders don't even pay their fare, according to the MTA.
Right now, people are hopping the bus, getting in trouble for the bus, getting ticket for the bus.
If the train or the bus suck, I don't pay. Excuse my French.
Oh!
This guy... I'm not gonna lie though. That goes exactly to what I was just saying. If public transportation is not going to be good, people will not want to pay.
Oh!
It's that simple. Like, I don't know why. Like, this is a big, like, there's a reason why people get frustrated when they're told to pay their fares. There's a reason why. There's a reason why. Because public transportation in New York, right? Let's say, for example, if I look on the schedule and I say, okay, well, there's a bus that's coming in 10 minutes. I go out to take that bus, right? That bus doesn't show up. It doesn't show up. So then now what am I supposed to do, right? The bus doesn't show up, right? And now I have to wait 15 minutes to take another bus, right? And now I'm late for school or I'm late for work now. It's like, why, like, that frustrates me. And now I have to pay for that. That's the first thing I have to do. I'm already upset. Now I have to pay for that. You have to do that every single day. You know what I'm saying? And so the public transportation doesn't seem to be getting any better, and then you start raising the costs, right? The cost of living is already going up, which makes sense why the cost of the ticket prices are also going up. The actual fares keeps on increasing, but it just makes it more frustrating when you're already struggling to live in the first place. Oh! And so I think there needs to be a balance somewhere.
Or the bus suck, I don't pay. Excuse my French.
Unlike on the subway, when you pay your fare, you're doing so on the bus. The act of doing so or not doing so, it impedes and impacts the ability of the bus to actually operate.
Make buses fast and...
The Mamdani movement has shifted boring buses into a controversial new lane, while some critics don't seem to mind the idea of fast buses.
Nothing is free here, yeah?
The idea of free buses is triggering some rage about socialism.
Explain his stupidity. I don't believe in communism, and that's what's coming to Staten Island. I didn't hear.
Oh my gosh. And you see, now this is the problem. This is the problem. We can't even, we keep on getting into this mindset, this neoliberalist mindset of like, all right, we're using, think about it. We're using taxpayer money to fund a taxpayer service. Like, this is a public service. We're using public money to fund a public service. That makes the most sense to me. Why are we, and it goes back to that same type of mindset that I made about my Amtrak video about profitability. People keep on wanting people keep on wanting public transportation to be profitable. Like, the people go, well, why isn't MTA doesn't earn any money or what? Like, they keep on thinking about it as an actual company, right? But we don't think about our police department as that. You know what I'm saying? When the police show up, right? Before they, like, let's say somebody stole something from your house or whatever, right? You call the police. They show up. They don't say, that's going to be $15. They don't say that. Yeah, that's gonna be $15, and then I'll go chase the suspect. Oh! They don't say that because it's a public service. We all understand that having the police department is a public service, right? But all of a sudden, when it comes to public transportation, it's completely different. It's all of a sudden it's just like people all of a sudden it reeks like they can't imagine spending taxes. We spend, and like everybody always says, we spend taxes on roads and highways and all that type of stuff, right? We always do that, but whatever. Let's continue.
Staten Islanders protesting when they made the ferries free back in the 1990s.
Noted socialist Rudy Giuliani.
Who says you don't get something for nothing?
Mayor Rudy Giuliani are doing a great service to Staten Island.
Actually, when we made 5 bus routes free, one of them was on Staten Island.
Mamdani's referring to a 1-year free bus pilot
We are going to see a free bus route in every single borough.
that he
I'm not gonna lie, when that actually happened, when he made the bus routes free, those 5 bus routes free, one of them, like, I actually used a lot. And I would use it literally with anything. Like, let's say it was hot outside, right? I'll take the bus one stop. I'll take it one stop. Like, I don't, you know, I was using the buses more often because I knew, like, hey, I don't have to pay for this. Like, I can rest assured that, like, look, my tax money is already, like, I don't feel like I'm being penalized for needing to use public transportation. And I think that's the main goal, is that we don't make people feel penalized for using public transportation, right? That fare box, like, that makes you feel like, dang, like because you don't get a fare box when you have to drive, right? Unless you're taking a toll or something, you have to go through a toll or something like that. But you don't have a fare box, so you don't really think about, like, hey, driving is a lot more expensive than taking public transportation. You don't really think about that much, because initially you're just hopping in a car, right? There's no, like, immediate, like, boom, you have to pay type of thing. And so I think, like, even mentally that does something for people, where it's like, I already despise taking public transportation because public transportation makes me feel despised myself.
pushed through Albany with help from Mayor Eric Adams back in 2023 before they were rivals.
I think we'll make a major impact.
According to the MTA, Mamdani's free bus experiment boosted ridership 32%, with the lowest income riders taking trips they had previously avoided. But the free buses did not become fast during the pilot, in part because they did not use backdoor boarding.
If you talk to...
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was super weird. Okay, so the buses did not use backdoor boarding during the time that the public transportation was free. So it's like, why are we forcing people to go through the front? And so you would have lines of people, right? Because now the buses are more popular because now it's free. You would have lines of people waiting at the front door to get in. Like that part didn't make any sense to me. But I'm not gonna lie, right? The people who fare evade, I don't mind them that much.
Oh!
Because when they fare evade and they go through the back door, hey, I might have paid my $2.90, right? But at least I don't have to wait for everybody to go single file through the front door. I could just be like, okay, like if you not paying your $2.90 sped up my trip by 3 minutes, then I'm really indifferent.
The bus drivers, you'll hear again and again that a significant number of assaults are tied to the fare box. We found that we decreased assaults on bus drivers by 38.9%.
Can the city afford this?
And that goes exactly to what I was saying. When people feel penalized for using public transportation, they're going to immediately feel like I'm being like, it brings out aggression in people, right? It's like, all right, I'm already struggling to pay rent. I'm already struggling to like eat, to live here, right? And now I have a bus driver pressing me over $2.90. Now I'm not saying that this justifies bus drivers to get assaulted, right? But I think it's that type of case where it's like it's a bad situation for everybody. You're putting everybody in a bad situation. Bus drivers should not have to be the one to be like, oh, you didn't pay your fare. Like they should, their job is to drive that bus. That's their job. Their main goal is getting everybody from A to B safely. That's their goal. Their goal isn't supposed to be a law enforcer. So I think that by reducing that fare box whole issue right there, it reduces that tension. So people don't feel like, oh, wait, what, you calling me broke? You're calling me broke because I'm taking the bus and I can't afford it, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I've had times where, like, let's say, for example, I've forgotten my school Metro card, and I would hate when I would do this, but I would forget my school Metro card. I might leave it in my locker at school, or I would leave it at home for the day, which is the worst one because then I have to ask for a free ride to the bus operators or to whoever, because I don't like jumping. I don't like jumping the turnstile, and I don't like just walking past the bus driver without saying anything. I don't like doing that, you know. I do feel like if I need a fare, if I need to ride for free, like I typically would just ask, and typically I will be let on. But there have been cases where if I can't pay my fare, because I don't have my Metro card, right? When I was a student, the bus driver would kind of give some attitude or whatever type of like deal, and or try to play like mind games and stuff like that, like, oh, so you don't have it, like, you blah, blah, blah. And then I think that just adds like that type of like extra like unnecessary, like, they don't need to be enforcing this. like they're not law enforcement, so like I could just still walk on the bus and nothing would happen. I mean, they probably wouldn't drive the bus, they can do that, but also it just makes it so just like unnecessary. Especially when I was a kid, it would just be like, okay, can you just please like let me? I can't get home, right? Like, you want me to beg? You know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. And some bus drivers would just be like okay and be like hella cool about it. Let's say, like, for example, one time it was like, okay, so it was like the Second Avenue subway like opened up like a year prior, or like maybe it was like the same year it opened, and I decided to ride it, but then I forgot that I did not have my Metro card. I left my Metro card in my school locker when I was trying to go home, and I was like, dang, like I need like, I asked the guy, I was like, yo, I need to get in because I don't have my school Metro card. And then he asked me to do math problems in order to get a free ride. I mean, look, W education, I guess, bro. I mean, he had me do algebra problems to get in. I've never had that type of experience. It was kind of funny, but at the same time, it was like, bro, this is so unnecessary that like I feel like if we could just cut all this stuff out, then you know, I feel like if we would be able to cut all this out, I think it would make our society a lot better, right? Like again, it felt like you feel that shame of not being able to afford it, right? Because it's public transportation, and public transportation already has this negative connotation, right? And so now you can't afford public transportation. It already feels like I'm extra broke or whatever. And so then when people ask you like, hey, like, where's your fare? Why can't you da 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 da? Even though I'm literally in high school, right? It still felt like, dang, like, I feel like less. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense. WMATA has resorted to putting fare required on their outer bus screens. Yeah, actually a lot of places have done that. Not just WMATA. I've seen it, like New York does it ever since COVID. I don't know if I'm able to mention that without getting the video or whatever taken down. But yeah, but New York has also done the same thing. It says fare required. Sometimes it's annoying because I'll look at the outside bus screen and all it says is fare required, but not displaying what the bus actually is. And that, but it flips back and forth. But yeah, I don't know. It still doesn't do anything because even if you're saying fare required, we know it's fare required, but like still gonna be people who are just gonna walk on. A sign isn't gonna do anything.
Right now with the federal cuts looming,
I think we absolutely can.
Mamdani says he'd bring in $9 billion by raising the state's top corporate tax rate and personal income taxes on New Yorkers making $1 million a year.
I will not.
So, okay. So
Rate.
let's take a look at this. So we got corporate tax rate, right? And we have a personal income taxes. Okay, for people who make more than $1 million a year. So I don't understand, like, there are people who are like, they scream socialism or I mean, kind of getting there, but they scream communism, which is not where that is, right? And it's just that neoliberal mindset, but it doesn't make any sense because the people who are screaming this do not make over $1 million a year. They don't make over $1 million a year, so why are they the ones that are out here caping for a bunch of millionaires? Me personally, I would never. I could not cape for a bunch of millionaires because, like, what do you get out of that? Honestly, like, you're talking about CEOs of companies and stuff like that. You're talking about like Wall Street investment bankers, and you work at a deli. You know what I'm saying? And you're out here, and you're out here caping for. This doesn't make any sense.
Taxes on New York.
And that's the thing. He said it should be free if the city or county can afford it. The thing is, New York City is the richest country in the U.S. Richest city in the U.S., right? And so, you know, like, you have like a group, like you have like the most millionaires put together into one city. New York City can definitely do this. But again, it's the people who fund these politicians' campaigns and stuff like that who say, hey, don't do this, right? Make our workers be the ones to pay for them to come to work. Oh! It's like, you need the workers, right? But you don't want to pay for your workers to come to work. Like, the workers have to, like, and that's frustrating for me because I know, like, when I've worked in New York and, right, making $15 an hour or something like that, and then I have to pay $2.90 both ways, I know that for the first 20 minutes of my shift, I am working for free, essentially. Oh! I'm literally just working to pay off me getting to work. And me paying off for an hour bus ride in the outer borough that was delayed.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
And that's exactly what these politicians think. Every single time. You have Eric Adams and stuff like that. He can't enforce any type of bus lanes or any type of stuff like that. It's just like, I feel like when it comes to, well, it's not really a groundbreaking thing, but when it comes to low income people or people who really need to use public transportation, most of the time these politicians don't care. It doesn't matter whether they are Republican, whether they're Democrat, they like generally won't care. And we'll see what Governor Hochul has to say after this.
Workers making $1 million a year.
I will not raise income taxes.
But what if Albany won't raise those?
And so, yeah, Albany won't raise the income taxes because the main people who are funding their campaign, right? Governor Hochul, main people funding her campaign are the people who would be impacted, not the normal people, not the rest of us who just use public transportation. And yes, there are millionaires who use I know millionaires who use public transportation in New York, right? Okay. But it's still like, it's not the majority of people in New York are not all the way up there. So it's like, you're really just making it more painful for people who really need this train, who really need this bus to get around.
Those taxes. Mamdani says he could find another $1 billion in part with more aggressive collection of unpaid water bills and local taxes to the city.
I think they should be free.
At the 1-year mark, the pilot was not renewed. Mayor Adams suggesting in an interview it was Mamdani's fault.
He came and met with me. I said the concept is a good concept. I'll support it. I'll help. He didn't move it through. He couldn't land the plane.
He didn't land the plane like I land the plane. He didn't do it.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like Eric Adams is like a word filler. Like, he just, like, it's kind of like when you're typing an essay in college. He fulfills the word count. I don't even know what that. I literally do not know what he's talking about or what that means. But Like, it's just I don't know what he wants to cheer. Okay. I mean, I don't know. He hasn't been what he said he would be for public transportation in New York, and that is probably the most disappointing fact, especially when it comes to bus lanes and stuff like that. He really hasn't done much, and so it's just a shame.
Well, I was thankful for Mayor Adams' support.
Mamdani and the Assembly Speaker deny reports that he botched the renewal of his own pilot by casting a symbolic protest vote on their budget deal last year.
That had no impact on.
Appreciate it, Irish Street Spider.
So that whole narrative is untrue?
That's not the case.
4 years ago, Mayor Adams promised to be the bus mayor, but fell short on his promises for bus lanes. The mayor touts numerous bus lane projects that improve street safety and his approval of the new car-free busway on 34th Street.
There is an affordability crisis, but what's driving that crisis is not the bus. The evidence from the pilot, I think it's encouraging, but I don't think it is the runaway slam dunk.
Andrew Cuomo has praised Mamdani's free bus pilot and says he would consider expanding it. Cuomo wants to get more low-income riders signed up for the city's existing half-price fare program, which is under-enrolled by 60%.
Why should New Yorkers...
And I'm not going to lie, that is true. I don't know why. I don't know how hard it is to enroll. I've never actually tried, which I think is the main reason most New Yorkers don't try to enroll, because they're like, if you already can't afford the bus fares, are you really going to spend all that time to enroll to get your fare cut in half? Or are you just going to just not pay your fare and then nothing's going to happen for the most part? Yeah, you might get caught and you might get $100 ticket, but at the same time, it doesn't really, that's not really going to make that much of a difference. If you $100 ticket is 2 weeks, 3 weeks of you skipping your fare, right? Closer to 2 weeks of you skipping your fare. You can still you can almost justify doing it. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense to me. And I'm not saying that the price for skipping your fare should go up higher, right? Again, I think that New York City spends a lot of time, not even time, but money and resources on trying to stop fare evaders and doing that type of stuff when they could actually just be improving their public transportation. For example, New York has spent $1 billion trying to stop fare evasions. And each year, New York City loses $1 billion from fare evaders. So they lose $1 billion from fare evaders each year from the ticket box revenue, but then they also are spending $1 billion to stop that from happening, and there hasn't been a difference.
It is what it is.
There literally isn't. There hasn't been a difference. So it's why are we're losing $2 billion essentially, right? And so if we were able to make public transit free, then we wouldn't be spending $1 billion, right, trying to fix fare evasion, and then at the same time we would be recovering that money from the corporate taxes, from the income taxes. And so we're essentially saving $2 billion a year. $2 billion a year, right? There goes Penn Access Project. There goes a portion of the money for the 2nd Avenue subway. There goes the IBX. There goes Queens Link. There's so many projects that we could use if we would just tax rich people. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. If we just stopped penalizing low-income people for taking public transportation, we would be able to fund these projects.
Subsidize the bus fare for rich people.
Governor Cuomo said, why should we be paying the fare for people who are wealthy?
You know, I don't see all that many of Governor Cuomo's donors getting on the bus.
This is the kind of logic that would have prevented us from having public education, would have prevented us from having public libraries, sanitation, the fire department.
How about providing service? Because I don't see the service there.
Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa called Mamdani's free bus plan a gimmick. He wants to enforce penalties for fare evasion. Mamdani says he has no future plans to make subways free, just buses.
We take very seriously that this is
What's
a
up,
promise we've
Senator?
made, and it's
What's
our
up?
job to uphold it. These buses could be a shining light of public transit in New York City, and yet right now, I could likely outrun this bus.
It'll be a major test if he continues to outrun his rivals. Melissa Russo, News 4, New York.
Yeah, no, she did a good job on that report. Yeah, hold on. Let me I'm not gonna lie. W News Report. Let me get some W's in the chat for her, because it's rare that a news reporter actually does a good job covering public transportation. That's an extremely rare circumstance. So shout out to her. She did her big one. All right, let's go on to while we're on the topics of fares and fare increases, let's talk about SEPTA. SEPTA just increased their fares today, actually. So that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, they just increased their fares from $250 to $290 today. And pretty sure the Pittsburgh Regional Transit has also, I think they increased their fares, or I think they are increasing their fares. But let's take a look at them real quick.
Starting tomorrow, all SEPTA bus, trolley, and train routes that were shortened or eliminated will be fully restored. Also happening tomorrow, a fare increase takes effect. Ross DiMattei joins us now with a breakdown of how much more riders will be paying. Ross, good morning.
Good morning, Jan. We've been preparing for these doomsday cuts for weeks. So here's why service is being restored. It's because Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro directed PennDOT to approve SEPTA's request to use $394 million in capital funds to cover the cost of daily operations. However, riders will not be able to avoid a significant rate hike starting tomorrow. Take a look at this graphic showing you how much more you're going to have to pay to ride SEPTA. It's a 21
I'm not gonna lie. Steve knows. Steve knows. Okay, look, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that the regional rail was going from $4 to $11, $4 to $11. Like, that is crazy. $4 to $11 that's an insane jump. I'm not gonna lie. $5 to $13. Like that hurts. Okay. Yeah, no. Okay, so it's about a $1. Okay. That makes sense. But still, that's like a $1 fare increase. A $2, man, a $1 fare increase and a $2 fare increase. That's still pretty insane though. Like, from a jump from $250 to $290. So let's say, from a New Yorker's perspective, right? New York City jumped from $250 to $275, and we stayed at $275 for a while, and then we went from $275 to $290. And then we're about to hit $3 at the beginning of this year. And so the increase has been it's been an incremental increase, right? But going from $250 to $290, that's a 40-cent increase. That's kind of insane. A dollar increase is still pretty large jump. And a $2 increase is still a pretty large jump if you're in the last fare zone. So it's like, I expect a lot more people to start fare evading. This is going to do I think this is going to do the reverse of what the government of what SEPTA thinks will happen. You know, I think this is going, and I know that's what happened with New York. When New York raised the fares, more people started fare evading. I mean, duh, like you're not going to pay that extra 15 cents. So here, 40 cents, extra 40 cents where you already have people, you know, fare evading, it's not going to be good. So let's continue. Let's continue.
1.5% fare hike all across the board. So a one-way fare used to be $2.50. It's now going to cost you 40 cents more. It's up to $2.90 one way, which means that the cost of a round trip will cost you nearly $1 extra. A weekly pass is $5.50 more, and a monthly pass will cost you $20 more. You're also going to have to consider that many riders take more than just one bus or train, so this rate increase is going to affect those folks even more. And with the minimum wage here in Pennsylvania still at $7.25 per hour.
$7.25 per, like, okay. Let's get this straight. I'm from New York, I live in New York, and I live in Pennsylvania part-time. Yeah, that's $7. That's not a joke. That's $7.25 that's a real minimum wage. Okay. And so where your minimum, and you know how I just said like minimum wage in New York is like $15, right? I make $15 an hour. I pay $2.90 both ways. That first 20 minutes of my shift, I'm working for free, right? In this case, yeah, good luck. Your first hour of your shift, you're going to be working for free. Congrats. You know what I'm saying? You're working for free for your first hour. That is an insane, right? And sometimes, most of the times well, I don't know. I actually can't speak on that too much because I know people who get paid $7.25 or whatever the minimum wage is. I do know people who get paid that low. I think the lowest I've ever been paid was $9 here. So, yeah, bro. I guess, yeah.
Or this price hike is enough to break some people's bank. However, they tell us they really have no choice but to pay it.
How much more is it going to cost you?
A lot, like $90 more. You have to do it because I got to work. Bills have to pay, right?
Do you have to cut back anything else?
Yeah, groceries, I guess.
Yeah, some folks now forced to make some sacrifices. So starting tomorrow.
So, okay. So to get to work, she decided that, or like her next thing, she didn't decide to, she was forced to. Let's get that clear. She's forced to cut back on groceries. You know, like if she has a family or whatever, now they're eating less. Oh! They're going to eat less because of these fare hikes. And the minimum wage is already extremely low, like extremely low. Work 3 hours out of your 8 hours to pay for a regional. Yeah, exactly, Jojo. That is insane. Something needs to be tweaked here. Obviously, like this is like South Park levels of crazy.
About half of SEPTA's bus, trolley, and train routes that were cut down or eliminated are set to be fully restored, and then the rest of those routes will be restored on Monday. SEPTA tells us they've been preparing for the switch by changing employee schedules and printing out new timetables for passengers, but they are warning folks to be patient. Could be a confusing couple of days while they restore all of these routes. Jan, back to you.
All right, Ross, thanks so much for that continuing.
Yeah, that's extremely unfortunate. All right, let's look at Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh is in the same situation. All the transit agencies in Pennsylvania are in the same situation. So let's take a look at what Pittsburgh's up to.
Breaking news tonight: a crisis averted for Pittsburgh Regional Transit. PennDOT just approved its request to use state capital funds to cover operating expenses, closing up a big budget deficit. KDKA's Ricky Sayer joins us live downtown to break down what this decision means for PRT and its riders. Good evening, Ricky.
Good evening, Josh. The headline here for riders is that the deep cuts that were slated for early next year are no longer happening, at least for the next 2 years. That means your bus will still come, your trains will still come, and fares won't significantly increase. PennDOT today approved a request from PRT. The request is to use up to $106.7 million in state capital funds. PRT has been trying to close a $100 million budget deficit. PRT says that while some infrastructure projects will be delayed, no safety critical work will be impacted. It wasn't long ago when Philadelphia's SEPTA transit agency was approved for funding in the same way. They already had to implement cuts until a court put them on pause. I spoke tonight with the executive director of Pittsburghers for Public Transit. She told me she's grateful these cuts are happening, but she's far from happy because this money isn't coming through a solution in the budget.
Well, it's deeply disappointing that our state legislature has failed to come up with a plan for new revenue for public transit, which is a problem that's been known for years. Well, so the Senate leadership has failed to put forward a proposal to fund transit. And at this point, it's not clear that there is a plan from the governor, from the Senate leadership, from the House leadership to come with a budget that provides new money for public transit.
Now, Republicans had come forward with their own plan to fund PRT, and SEPTA State Senate Minority Leader Jay Costa told me Republicans' plan would have used the same pot of money as the one that's being used now, but it would have been utilized differently. As top Senate Republican said their plan would have allowed the money to be used weeks sooner, avoiding the negative impacts that took place when SEPTA cuts went into effect. The transit advocate I spoke with says there is blame to go around for this not being a more permanent solution, but she feels it mostly falls on Republicans. Costa says it's not a failure of the governor or Democrats.
I think it's a failure on one part of the legislature, and it would be my Republican colleagues in the Senate. The House of Representatives on 5 separate occasions in the last year and a half have passed a revenue stream that would have provided resources not only for transit, but also for roads and bridges. So I'm grateful that PennDOT approved it.
But like, okay, let's be real. When it comes to a situation like this, right? This situation just doesn't just happen overnight. This isn't just like a couple of years of or like several years of Republican-led Senate or House or whatever. That doesn't just lead to this much of a deficit where your minimum wage is still at $7.25 and your fares are being increased to half of your minimum wage. So now your entire first hour is you're working for free. That doesn't just happen overnight. That's not just like a Republican-led issue, right? Now, it is the Republicans who are blocking the issue, right? But it's also the Democrats who just sat on their hands and didn't do anything that led up to this. There wasn't any pushback to this happening until it became too late. That's exactly what this is. And so now we have this extremely temporary fix, where we have 2 years. These 2 years are going to fly by, and then we're going to end up in a really, really unfortunate situation.
What was requested, but that's not the solution. This is just a short-term solution to avert the route reductions as well as averting the fare increases that both were to take place in February.
He says they will continue to fight for a dedicated transit funding stream long term. The transit advocate we spoke with said they want this in the budget that is still not finalized. Reporting live downtown, Ricky Sayer, KDK TV News.
Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's
we're done with SEPTA. SEPTA's frustrating. Let's look at something that's a little less frustrating. Let's look at our last 2 stories. We're going to end it off on a really good note. Let's go to Buffalo.
Good evening. I'm Chelsea Anderson. Marley is off tonight. The Metrorail.
Damn, that music is loud. Why is I can't even hear her talking. Why is the music so loud? Hold on.
project connecting downtown Buffalo to the largest public university in the state could be happening sooner than you think. Our Dylan Morello joins us live to break down the newest report by the NFTA on this expansion. Dylan.
Yeah, that's right, Kelsey. It's a project that's been in the works for years, but many I talked with today thought would never even happen. But now that the draft environmental survey has been released, the pros and cons of the project are coming to light.
It will save the environment a lot. It will reduce traffic on Westport Highway considerably.
You see what happened downtown Buffalo. It ruined all of those businesses.
The Buffalo Amherst Tonawanda Corridor Transit.
So I'm assuming that I'm going to assume that this guy is against it. I'm going to make the safe bet that this guy does not want the expansion.
Oh! It ruined all of those businesses.
The Buffalo Amherst Tonawanda Corridor Transit Expansion Project, proposed by the NFTA Metro, would extend the existing University Station and Key Bank Center route, going through the towns of Amherst and Tonawanda to the UB North Campus and the I-990.
Our mission here at the NFTA is to look for opportunities to enhance access throughout the community.
The route will feature 10 new stops, allowing travelers and students to go from University Station to the UB North Campus in 15 minutes.
It gets really crowded, and sometimes we have to wait for maybe like 20 minutes for the bus, and it would be really helpful if we could metro to the North Campus directly.
This month, the NFTA released their draft environmental statement. Jim Gordon, treasurer of Citizens for Regional Transit, tells us many residents' concerns are addressed.
They're addressing noise complaints. They're addressing what's going to happen with blasting, what things they're going to do to mitigate any kinds of bad effects from.
You know, I'm happy that Buffalo's light rail system is expanding. Buffalo's light rail system is notorious for being built completely backwards, where downtown Buffalo, it street runs and then it goes out to the suburbs and all of a sudden it's in a deep bore tunnel. So, I mean, I appreciate the fact that, you know, there is some type of expansion going on after not expanding for years. And that partially has to do because of the money that is coming from the state is being spent all on New York City. So, you know, which, hey, look, I'm happy that I'm getting these transit projects, but obviously New York is a lot larger than just New York City. So, you know, some funding still needs to go to these other cities in the state. So I'm happy to see something like this get pushed along. And, you know, maybe if we have a good governor, a good pro-transit governor, we can get some good funding for this.
Construction.
We're committed to the mitigation measures that are identified within the document.
The project is looking at 3 outcomes: do nothing, bus rapid transit, and light rail transit. LRT looks to be the favored option, estimating $1.7 billion in economic growth and a 32% increase in property tax revenues, serving 30% more transit-dependent riders.
The highest ridership, the most.
So that's a lot of tax revenue, that property tax revenue that they can gain, especially if this is where public transportation becomes quote unquote profitable, right? Public transportation becomes profitable when you're able to use that tax revenue to pay back for the public transportation, right? That's typically what happens, but unfortunately, sometimes that tax revenue doesn't bounce back into the public transportation. It goes elsewhere, which, you know, there are other things other than public transportation that you need to fund. But at the same time, right, when we think about public transportation and how much money it takes to operate public transportation, right, you want to make sure that you're at least giving enough money back to that authority, back to that public transportation authority, so that it can cover operational costs. That's the exact problem that SEPTA is having. That's the exact problem that Pittsburgh Regional Transit is having, is the fact that all the benefits that they add to their cities, they're not getting all the financial benefits, I should say, that they add to their cities. They're not getting any of that money back. They're not getting that investment back. So that's where you kind of have to question, where is that money going?
Most economic development potential would serve the most activity centers was the light rail alternative. And really, at the end of the day, it's the option that best positions us to compete for federal funding.
The report also says construction could impact 192 properties with 14 individual displacements of mostly commercial property on Niagara Falls Boulevard, all of which, according to the report, will be given relocation help and compensation. I spoke.
Yeah, this entire area would need to be upzoned.
According to the report, will be
like this. Like, look at this. This entire area would need to, So, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Given relocation help and compensation. I spoke with Lombardo Funeral Home and Sun City Mattress, who fall into the displacement category. In a statement, the funeral home says they are actively monitoring the project and intend to participate in the public comment period.
I'm totally against it. We don't want to sell it. We don't want to move. We've been here 23 years.
And okay, to that point, I can actually respect business owners who, don't want to be displaced. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that it does suck. You build close ties to your property. And, to be relocated, to be kicked out, that has to suck. But at the same time, if you are being accurately accommodated financially for your relocation, just take the money.
Oh!
You should just take the money, Yeah.
Against it. We don't want to sell it. We don't want to move. We've been here 23 years.
Misso, the owner of Sun City Mattress, says no one from the NFTA alerted him of their plan. Driving down Niagara Falls Boulevard, we saw many houses with lawn signs against the project. The displacements and construction could also create an annual loss of $70,000 of school property tax for the Sweet Home School District. We reached out to the Sweet Home Schools, and they tell us they are aware of the situation and are working with the NFTA closely.
You would see an increase in property values throughout the corridor, not just the 14 properties you're referencing, but a net increase, right? So that's actually probably better for the school district.
Amplement adds the project is projected to cost close to $2 billion, with shovels in the ground hopefully by 2027, with the first passengers in 2032. At this time, public comment is open until September 8th. There will also be a public hearing August 19th at 6 p.m. at Sweet Home Middle School. You can find a link in all that information on our website, also the Found It on 4 tab. Reporting live at UB South Campus, Dylan Morello, News 4.
Yeah, shout out to Dylan Morello. You did your thing. All right, last story. Last story is hold on, let me give him. Oh, there's more. Yeah. Okay, all right, last story. Last story is zero emissions train rolls into the Inland Empire. So we're going all the way over to California for this one. This is going to be an interesting topic.
All aboard for a cleaner commute. A new zero-emission train is about to hit the tracks in the Inland Empire, the first of its kind in North America.
KCAL's Joy Benedict hopped aboard ZEMU to show us how this hydrogen-powered ride could really change the way we travel.
It's a sound synonymous with travel, but what you hear on the train and what it leaves behind is changing.
I think that's super cool. Less pollution.
As the newest technology on the track is opening its door to passengers this weekend.
We are inside the new, what we call ZEMU.
A zero-emissions, hydrogen-powered passenger
Cue that beautiful Heidenberg footage. That's actually crazy.
train, a first to ever hit the rails in North America.
It uses a hybrid hydrogen fuel cell battery technology for its propulsion, and it only emits water vapor.
Tim Watkins is the chief of legislative affairs for the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, which has been working on this project for 6 years.
This idea was born out of just a need for SBCTA to provide a quality transportation project while addressing the air quality.
The train was manufactured by the European company Stadler, and it first shipped to Colorado for testing.
This vehicle set a world record for distance traveled on one fueling. Literally ran for 46 hours without having to refuel.
It arrived in San Bernardino last summer, where it spent another year being tested at signals and riding the rails at night when the tracks were empty.
A lot of that testing is designed to test the communication systems with the crossings, to make sure all the lighting and signal work is effective.
But now ZEMU is ready to roll in prime time, taking over starting Saturday on the 9-mile route between San Bernardino and Redlands, aimed at reducing pollution.
It's quality of life aspects for people who live here in San Bernardino County, especially those who live near the corridor that it runs upon.
So not only is this new train good for the environment, but it also is good for the passenger. It has a state-of-the-art interior, offers free Wi-Fi, and get this, free charging at every seat.
Like, when do we, like, I mean, okay, you know what? I guess it is important to always say that, you know, like, there's free Wi-Fi and charging and stuff like that, but, like, I think this is, like a given for, well, actually not free Wi-Fi. Free Wi-Fi is not a given everywhere. So you can but you know, charging, I feel like charging is, you know, we should all have charging ports, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case as well. So, you know, but at the same time, I don't know.
Free Wi-Fi, and get this, free charging at every seat. The high-tech rail car does come at a cost, $20 million to be exact, double the price of a standard train.
All right, so what do we think about that? The fact that the ZEMU is more expensive than just a normal train. You know, I do think, right, it is important for the environment. You know, right? But at the same time, couldn't we just electrify? Like, we couldn't just electrify our trains, you know? Like, is there a way that we could have, like, you know, actually just strung some wires over the rails and then, or, you know, whatever, and then just call it a day? Like, why is this... I guess maybe I'm just not seeing it yet. And I think there is something to be said about hydrogen technology and battery technology. It's you're either really smart for investing in it early and trying to, you know, hammer out the kinks and stuff like that. So eventually it will, you know, become cheaper and the same as putting in OCS, overhead catenary system. But at the same time, you could also just be really dumb and just not be putting in an overhead catenary system. So it's like, you're either really smart or you're really dumb. And you know, I don't know. I don't know what this is. I can't really pin this down because yes, there's, you know, they're caring about the environment, which is, thumbs up, you know, saving the world. But then at the same time, you're spending a lot more. Like, even when it comes to operation costs, it's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we reinventing the wheel here? You know? So cool train, but at the same time, why? I guess I'm just confused on like why are we doing this?
Without having to refuel.
It arrived in San Bernardino last summer, where it spent another year being tested at signals and riding the rails at night when the tracks were empty.
A lot of that testing is designed to test the communication systems with the crossings, to make sure all the lighting and signal work is effective.
But now ZEMU is ready to roll in prime time, taking over starting Saturday on the 9-mile route between San Bernardino and Redlands, aimed at reducing pollution.
It's quality of life aspects for people who live here in San Bernardino County, especially those who live near the corridor that it runs upon.
So not only is this new train good for the
I'm not gonna lie, the Aero train, the line itself is just way too short. It's like the most unserious train route. Like, it's so unserious. Like, it isn't Chicago trying to do the same thing by purchasing these Stadler trains and basically running like, like putting like a short line, a short segment. Like, I feel like this is a perfect way to just spend a lot of money and then not actually move a lot of people, And so, like, I'm not saying that it isn't beneficial. It is beneficial, but like the amount of cost you're spending on this train and not having it really extended to anywhere where like people would actually like take it, the station locations aren't the best either, right? There's no real locations around them. It's like, why would you? It's no wonder why this is one of the least used commuter rail lines in the country. Like, it just kind of makes the most sense. But at the same time, they're spending this money on zero emissions hydrogen power for a train that barely anybody is using. It's like, man, I feel like this just isn't the place to put it. Like, I feel like this isn't a good way to showcase the technology because like already nobody is really taking this train because they made the route so short. Like, it's so short of a route that like, and it's a shuttle. You made a rail shuttle, but it doesn't go to like an airport. It doesn't go to like, places or destinations, significant destinations that people want to go to. It's slow. So it's kind of like, why? Man. Yeah. This is kind of one of those cases where I feel like, like the government or government transit agency was just like, let's just check. We just need to check a box. We just need to say that we did something, and then, then people gonna clap for it.
Oh! Environment, but it also is good for the passenger. It has a state-of-the-art interior, offers free Wi-Fi, and get this, free charging at every seat. The high-tech rail car does come at a cost, $20 million to be exact, double the price of a standard train.
It is more expensive to be first, but in this county, it was important that we look for clean solutions, and so we thought the investment was important.
They thought the investment was important on that, but not putting overhead catenary. And I understand that the freight railroads wouldn't allow them to do it, but still, it's like, you didn't want to battle them on that, you are the first people to do this, but like at the same time, you could have, I think there's courage in both. There's courage, but don't let courage be mistaken. Am I trying to say that? Am I saying that right? Because courage mistaken for stupidity or whatever. Don't be stupid. This might be, I don't know. I can't tell which one this is yet. I just cannot tell which one this is yet. We're going to see, it's been in operation for a day. So we'll see what happens. Very Gadget Bonnie for sure. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to, do some light editing on these videos, and then I'm going to end up posting it. But yeah, this is going to happen. I don't know. Maybe this isn't, I think does this seem like a good time to stream, or should I stream later in the day, or should I, like, when should I be streaming? I feel like this was a good test. Does this make me a VTuber? I guess so. I guess it does kind of make me a VTuber. Anytime. Yeah, because I think now, I think on a Sunday is probably, the best. Weekend afternoons are pretty good. Yeah. I think now is probably like the best time to stream because then it gives me the time is pretty good, to be honest. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's good. Because I don't want to stream too late because if I stream too late, then I know some people, and whether like you're in the UK or like Germany or whatever, those are my like second to third most watched countries. So it's like I don't want them to, it's gonna be late for y'all, but at least you can enjoy it at 10 p.m. But then I also didn't want to make it too early because I know there's a lot of people coming in from the West Coast, and yeah, so yeah, it's a good time. All right, okay, so you guys will probably see this get cut down into an actual video, well, into multiple videos over the week, and I'll just add my extra commentary on it. But for now, right, I think we're done. That's a wrap. W first stream. Let's get some motivation. Yeah, for me. All right. Appreciate it. All right. Well, with that being said, if I urge a like and subscription, you already know what it is. If you made this far, thanks for watching.